Hi everyone, my name is Milena Silva Guimarães. I'm a student of the Master in Work Organization and Personal Psychology, and I've been working in the study how psychological safety in telework can be a key element for sustainability with Professors Pedro Fialho from University of Coimbra and Professors Carolina Moliner and Nuria Tordera from University of València. According to Moglia, the advantages of remote work can be linked to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, in the sense that it may support efforts to combat climate change, improve air quality, encourage active travel and its health benefits, increase work-life balance, support community resilience, lessen traffic congestions, and other benefits. However, it is important that we assure that teleworking is aligned with internal environments, such as well-being and psychological safety. When we talk about psychological safety, Edmondson is the main author, and she defines it as a shared belief held by members of a team that the team is safe for interpersonal risk-taking. In this sense, this study analyzes how the interaction between teleworking arrangements and autonomy on perceived psychological safety can be a key element for sustainability. First, we developed three hypotheses. The first one, we wanted to understand if perceived psychological safety differs across the groups depending on the autonomy in defining the working model. So here we have two groups, the one with the organization employer decides the working model, and the second one, if it is an employee's own decision. We have the second hypothesis, if perceived psychological safety differs across the working model groups, in person, remote, and hybrid. And finally, the third hypothesis, we wanted to understand if perceived psychological safety differs across the resulting groups and according to the autonomy in defining the working model and the working model itself. So here we have again the organization employer decision, the employee's own decision, and the three different working models. So we did all these comparisons. For conducting this study, we shared a questionnaire that contained three main sections. The first one was the social demographic data, the second, autonomy and the working model questions, and the third related to psychological safety questions, where we also included the Edmondson scale. The time for answering was about 5 minutes, and we intended to reach professionals who work in remote and hybrid working models. The data was gathered from LinkedIn and snowball sampling, and we obtained a sample of 506 answers. The variables considering this study was the type of working model, so in-person, remote, and hybrid, the level of individual autonomy in defining the working model, and psychological safety. The results show us, for the first hypothesis, we performed a t-test to independent samples, and they showed us that there are statistically significant differences between the organization employer's decision and the employee's own decision. For the second hypothesis, we performed a one-way analysis of variance, and the results showed us that there are significant differences on perceived psychological safety across the working models. So we performed then a post hoc test to understand in which groups these differences were significant, and we found that the differences were significant in the resulting groups in person and remote when they were compared, also between remote and hybrid working models. For the third hypothesis, we performed a two-way factorial ANOVA for independent groups, and the results indicated that there are statistically significant differences between remote and in-person working models, and also between hybrid and remote working models, but in both cases only when the organization employer decides on the working models. So here the figure 1 demonstrates in the blue line we have the organizational employer decision, in the green line we have the employees on decision. Here we have the three working models, in person, hybrid, and remote, and here in this side the estimated level, the estimated mean of perceived psychological safety. So as the figure demonstrates, when we compare the in-person and the remote working model, we have significant differences, but only when the organization defines this working model. And what we found is that when the organization defines the remote working model in its environment, the employees have a higher level of perceived psychological safety. In this sense, the results demonstrate that the higher the level of virtuality, the higher the level of psychological safety. Moreover, in the case of remote and hybrid work, psychological safety was higher only when the organization decided to adopt these working models, than when it was decided by the employee itself. And in this sense, this research suggested that the remote working model may have a positive influence on perceived psychological safety and the sustainability of organizations, especially when the organizations are committed to these teleworking arrangements. It's necessary that the organizations are committed so they can provide their employees higher levels of perceived psychological safety. Thank you for your attention, and please let me know if you have any questions.